So now we're going to go around again, but we're going to go out a little differently. Okay, so you notice we have all of these raw edges that need to be covered up. When we went around the first time, we lined up our strips with the edge of the pentagon shape, sewed it, flipped it over. Okay, well, we already have a strip there, so what we're going to do is we're going to line up our fabric strip with the first strip, if that makes sense. So our first strip that we did was this kind of pinkish one. Okay, so here's my pretty side, here's my ugly side. I'm going to line up my pretty sides with that first strip we did. What we're going to do is pin this in place. Okay, but we're going to sew right here on 1/4 of an inch. Okay, I'll show you how this is going to look. So let's bring this to the sewing machine. We're going to sew at 1/4 of an inch, which is the edge of our presser foot, and we'll start sewing. We'll back stitch. Okay, and my pins are out far enough I don't need to worry about pulling them out right now. All right, pull it out, leave a tail. Okay, now I'm going to pull the pins out. Now, okay, sorry, let's look that up. So that's what it looks like. And then when I press it open, see how it covers a lot of those raw edges. Okay, I'm going to iron that down really fast. Okay, so we did our diagonal. Now we did this blue strip right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab another strip. So this is our 7th. Yes. So here's our pretty side. Here's our ugly side. I'm going to put my ugly side on that second blue strip. Okay. Put pins in it. And then we're going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So some of you, oh, why is this not going? Back stitch. Some of you might have already gotten this and you don't need to watch the rest of this video. Why is that being? That's fine. If that's the case, keep going. But if you still need to do this, I will do all the strips so you can watch the whole thing. Don't worry. Okay. All right. Pull the pins out. So that's what it looks like right now. Put this up a tiny bit. Okay. And again, we're going to fold this over and see this one pretty much went to the edge of our squares, so that's nice. But we are going to iron that down. Okay. And then, so we iron it down after every strip so it lies nice and flat and pretty, and then it's easier to sew the next strip. So our third strip was this kind of pinkish light one. Okay. So I have my strip. Here's the pretty side, ugly side. I'm going to line it up with that third strip, that raw edge, pin them together, and then we'll sew it at 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Why is that being? There we go. That's better. Okay. So we'll line it up. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes you've got to double check to make sure you're not sewing it on the wrong side, because I've done that before where I sewed on that side on accident. So making sure everything's lined up. Back stitch. Okay, just making sure everything's still lined up. And back stitch, pull it out, trim it, leave a tail, pull the pins out. Okay, so at this point, that's what it looks like. We'll set up a little bit higher so you can see. So that's our bottom, okay? So again, I am going to iron this flat so it lies flat, or sorry, press it flat is the correct term. Okay, so next strip, same thing, pretty side, ugly side. I'm going to put the pretty side against this reddish pink one, okay, pin it in place, and then I'm going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch. So as you start figuring out this pattern and the rhythm and getting into it, it goes a lot faster. Okay, back stitch. Sorry, just got to keep things lined up. Ugh, I hate it when little pieces get caught. Okay, we'll keep going. And then when we get to the end, back stitch, pull it out, trim it. Oh, okay. Okay. And then, so that's what it looks like at this point. Okay, so we'll flip it open, press it flat. Come on. So yeah, off screen here, I do have an iron. Why is that being so silly? Okay, there we go. All right. Now we have to do our 5th and our 10th strip. So those are our 2 diagonals. Okay, so we did that dark blue diagonal. I'm gonna do a light blue. Flip it so it's pretty sides together. So you just see the ugly side. We're gonna sew it right there. So I'm just gonna put 1 pin in because at this point I'm used to sewing with less pins because I've had a little more experience. But if you need more pins, grab as many pins as you need. Okay. All right, and then, why is that so much bigger? That's fine. All right, there we go. Okay, back stitch. And then, sorry, I'm just making sure everything's still lined up. Okay, back stitch, trim it. All right, so, and then we will press this open. Okay, so we've done 10 strips so far. It looks like the only 2 strips we need to do, that's why we have our extra strips here. Looks like we need to do another diagonal here and another one here to cover up the square completely. So I'm gonna do that really fast. Okay. Okay, so line that up, pin it in place. Line it up with the edge of my presser foot at 1/4 of an inch. And again, you're sewing through like 5 or 6 layers of fabric at this point. Well, 3 layers. So it will feel a little different than normal. Okay. All right. Okay, so I pressed it open. So it's gonna look kind of wonky right now. That's okay. Let's see, what other strips do we have? Oh, do I want that one? Because it kind of looks too patterny. But you know what? It's fine, because we're just doing this very edge right here. So we're gonna sew that up at 1/4 of an inch. Sorry. Okay. So we'll sew this up at 1/4 of an inch. Back stitch, sew it up, back stitch, pull it out, trim it. Okay, and then I'm gonna press it open. Again, that's slightly off screen because that's how it is. Okay, so that is what our our square looks like at this moment. Pull it up a little bit higher. Okay, so it looks kind of wonky. So we're gonna flip it over and grab some scissors. And we are just gonna trim off all of these edges so that it's the same size as the original square. Okay. All right. Ooh. That's not perfect. We're gonna have to go back and trim that a little bit better. All right, that's looking better. Gotta do this side now. All right, and if it's not perfect, that's okay because our edges are gonna be sewn up in our pillow seam allowance anyway. All right, so that's kind of what it looks like right now. Oh, I need to trim that edge a little bit better, but that's what it should look like. Now, what you can do if you want to add extra stuff to it is you can do a fancy stitch again. And you can stitch the edges down. So let me show you. So again, my favorite stitch is number 35. So, oh, just gonna take a minute. Okay, there we go. So stitch number 35, I am going to line this up. Okay. And what the goal is for this is just to add some fun details on this basically. So I'm gonna start on this. Oh, sorry, moved the machine way too close. That's my bad. All right, so I'm gonna line this up with my presser foot with the edge of that blue fold right here, and I'm just gonna sew. And you just keep it in a straight line and sew all the way down. All right, and that's the end. Let's pull it out. So that's what it looks like. And it just kind of adds some fun detailing. You can do others on other strips. So let's say I want to do number 10. I like number 10. So let's see, we'll do 2.5 and we'll do 4. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this to 10. I'm going to do it on my white edge. Okay. And again, I'm going to line this up so it's like this, lining up the edge of my presser foot with the edge of the white fold. All right, and that's it for that one. Ooh, that's fun. Okay. So, as you can see, it just adds a different kind of look. That one kind of looks like a heartbeat or a mountain, which is kind of fun. So you can play around with some of the stitches and add an extra, what we call like decorative stitch on the tops. But that's basically square number 6.